Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Scientific Article Viking Archery You've Seen is Wrong. I do not think I've ever seen Viking Archery, so I wouldn't be able to name the difference between the right way or the wrong way. But I guess we're about to find out, so let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
All Viking archery you've ever seen is wrong. This is real Viking archery, based on historical sources and science, and it's easy to recognize on the low draw. Together with Viking historian and archer Kim Yarder and
A Viking historian would love to speak to that guy.
physics professor Knud Erik Meyer, we can actually prove how the Viking did archery, and it fit the historical sources. And surprisingly, this old method
Did Vikings invent? I don't think, right? They didn't invent archery.
may be a technical better way to do archery than the modern one.
If I just, again, for the uninitiated as me, I would say the difference is they're lower and they're not sort of high. Is that the difference?
My name is Kim Yarder, and I'm pleased to announce that our article about how the Vikings really shot with a bow and arrow now is out in historical magazine Skalk. You know, today reenactors hold the arrow high on the left side of the bow. But in every known image from the period, Viking held it low and were visible on the right side. Today, people
It looks kind of weird, I have to say.
draw the string with 3 fingers. But in every image where the thumb is visible, it's shown pressing
Like a thumb.
against the arrow in a pinch grip.
My name is Knud Erik Meyer. I'm working at the Technical University of Denmark. We invited 12 students and we instructed them do the 2 different grips, pinch grip and the free finger grip.
This looks so
If you
hard.
look at the old findings, the end of the arrow, this is called a nock. And some of them made very carefully in bronze with a design of a conical shape and grooves on it.
If they were made out of bronze, wouldn't that make them super expensive and you wouldn't want to lose arrows?
This must have been very expensive to make. And our
Exactly.
question is, does this have a function or is it just decoration? Another simpler
I would assume they had a function, otherwise they wouldn't be making them so expensive.
design is simply just to carve the nock out of the wood. We did not tell the students what we were testing, but asked them to make a draw on the bow with the 2
Those are the best kind of experiments. Just do this. I'm not going to tell you so you don't want to be influenced.
different techniques and a number of arrow designs. So using pinch grip that we see on illustrations from Viking Age, the students were on average able to draw with about 40% more force using the archaeological nock. When you use the free finger grips, there was no difference. So the results of these experiments support the pictures we get from the old drawings of archery.
Just looking at this, doesn't it make your fingers hurt?
Also asked 3 experienced archers to do some shots, both with the modern free finger grip high draw and with the historical pinch grip low draw. And here we saw a significant difference when we did high-speed filming of the arrows in flight. With the free finger grip, you see there's a misalignment between the direction of arrow and the flight direction, and it's also oscillating a bit more. The reason for this is that when you release with the free finger grip, you make a sidewards force to the arrow. You have much better control with the pinch grip that gives a very smooth release of the arrow. So it's a much more precise.
It makes sense. I think, if you think about this, it makes sense because you're sort of putting it slowly, I think, and it has sort of less force.
Size shot you can make.
I can only do this shot with the pinch grip because the arrow flies totally straight.
Oh.
It is impossible for me to do with the 3-finger grip because
crazy.
the arrows go from side to side.
That's insane.
Pinch grip, you can even shoot an arrow with no nock at all. But if you try to do it with 3-finger grip, the string falls off instantly because of the side forces.
Using 3 fingers, there are definitely room for improvement using a different fingering technique.
A consequence of this is that you can, with the pinch grip, shoot with a much large variety of arrows. When you shoot with the 3-finger grip,
I didn't know there were a variety of arrows.
you need a very optimized arrow to have good shots. In an old fighting situation, you would be able to.
So I think technically if you were a bad archer, you would kind of get around with the pinch grip.
Use the pinch grip and just pick up arrows that was lying on the ground and shoot.
To show how good the Viking method
That would be good in battle.
actually is, I reconstruct 2 stories from a saga. One is to hit a knot on the brother's head, and second, hit an incoming arrow.
An incoming arrow, oh my god.
Almost all historical pictures show Vikings shooting while running, and this is also described in historical texts. The Badiou Chapter showed 27 archers all running in a battle, with the arrow held low to the right. The
Just running with an arrow, that seems crazy to me.
arrow is shown behind two stretched fingers, and you can't see the thumb, so before we start testing, we believe it was a two-finger grip. But it doesn't fit the historical knock,
Yeah.
and in motion, it's really, really, really bad.
I think it's accurate, yeah.
So it's much more likely it is a pinch grip variation since it matches the historical knock and is superior in motion. The arrow stays rock steady on the bow. We know archery in
sense.
motion from other cultures like the Mongols, but Viking archery was something special, shooting while running, just like special forces are doing today.
Oh,
Gradually,
okay, yeah, I hadn't seen the comparison, but it's true only that they do it with guns now.
after the Viking Age, archery began to change.
Why?
As armor got heavier, archers started using the three-finger grip with the arrow held higher. So that meant that they could draw further back and use more power, but at the cost of
So does it mean they're deadlier or just that they can go maybe further away?
mobility. Eventually, this evolved into the modern style of archery, with the round, colored targets that everybody knows today. But the Vikings themselves, they never knew about this type of shooting. It wouldn't appear until many
crazy.
centuries later.
Anybody know that the Viking did not fight knives with sword and other weapon, and their archery were actually the same. Fast,
Really?
aggressive, and on the run.
Oh my god.
And it
Oh
was
my
perfect
God.
for the small ship crews. And this Viking method is actually really easy to learn because it feels natural to do. But you can never know about history. The many other things we have investigated point in the same direction. The Vikings have their own unique, powerful style of running archery. So thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.
This was very interesting. It never occurred to me that archery kind of it was different based on the culture of doing it. I thought it was just what I would guess. Yes, I know there's different techniques and people used to have different techniques. But I would assume, everyone sort of, and especially back in those days, I would assume everyone was kind of using the same thing. So it never, it depends on the culture. The different cultures had their own thing and did things their own way, which I guess, again, if you think about this for 2 seconds, I think would make sense, because even as with sword fighting, which I do not know much about it either, but I would assume each person and each culture, each country, they probably have their own sort of style. Because again, it's with fighting styles, everyone has their own thing and everyone has their own technique, because it just depends on who taught you, and maybe just, I don't know, instinct. I don't know how you would go around with this, but I think it looks weird because I think maybe I'm trying to think of films I've seen before or just shows, and every time that I'm trying to think of, I think it's always the same. They always have the bow and the arrow and stuff. They always have it very, very high. I think it would be like this, and it's always like that. I think in every single film that I've seen, it's definitely the case. And even when I've seen, I don't know, archery in the Olympics or people just practicing this, it's always very high. I've never seen them sort of so low. And if that one's a little bit better, I think, I don't know, they're not trying to make the case where, this one's better than the other, but I think for instance, the lower sort of grip, I think it's better. It has more, as they said, it kind of gives you more accuracy, and I don't think I've ever paid that much attention to how the fingers are sort of, what's the technique on the fingers and the position, but it's definitely better. And I think, from what I've seen, you always have to use the three fingers. It's never just a 2-point sort of grab the arrows. But I think it kind of makes it easier. I don't know. I've never learned archery because I think it looks kind of hard. I don't know. It seems like it would be very, very, it would hurt your fingers. But I think that one, the whole, as apparently Vikings use, in which you only use your 2 fingers, I think, that one seems easier, and I think it seems more natural. I think just looking at both positions, I think it looks, if you would ask me, I don't think it would be, I don't know if you would ask me earlier and before this, I don't know what I would have told you, but I think, I know, because I know the techniques use the fingers and use 3 fingers, and you have to put your thumb, and there's a whole other thing. But seeing it like this is actually, I think, the most natural and the most sort of instinctive way to grab the arrow. It would be just grab your 2 fingers and your thumb and just grab the arrow and go. I think, yeah, that would be easier. So I'm wondering why that's not that popularized, and maybe it is popularized in certain circles, as in people that do archery do this, but especially, and I'm trying to think, yeah, in media, how come it's not done? Maybe it's just because it's visually, maybe it looks weird, but I think it just looks weird because it hasn't been popularized. I think once you kind of popularize the other sort of method, well, that wouldn't be seen as strange. Maybe it's just because, like they said, yeah, it's around the 1700s when the other sort of archery method came into popularity, and that's where like people get their reference from. And yes, you see the references with the art, with the whole target and stuff, and maybe that's why. But now I'm wondering, where exactly was that sort of created, the sort of round colored target? It was the 1700s, but then who created this? The Vikings weren't around in that time period, so who was it? And apparently there were culture, which I don't know, because I'm thinking about this again. If I think about it, are Vikings known for their archery? I would have told you I don't think so, because the image that I have about Vikings are very, as in, they used a lot of force, so there was a lot of, maybe not punching, but I would think, yeah, they were using hammers, and they were using swords, and they were using, clubs and stuff like that, and hammers. Although I don't know if you would use a hammer, I don't know, but that's the image that I have in my brain about Vikings. I would have never kind of thought, well, I guess they had archers, but I would guess there were just a small number of them used archery, and apparently no, I was totally wrong. They used a lot of archery, and it seems incredibly hard that they were, because to me an archer is just someone, and especially in battle, because again, I don't know much about battle, so that's maybe my mistake. I would have thought, well, if you have a group of archers, you're going to put them in a place, in a high place, maybe at the top of the mountain or in a castle, whatever you're trying to defend, and they're going to be sort of stationary. They're not going to be running. It's just going to be there, because as well, and the arrows, you need, how many arrows do I need? I need 100 arrows. So I don't think it would be feasible to sort of go and, yes, I'm walking around or running around with my archers or whatever, if I'm the commander or whatever. But apparently, no, I'm totally off. It wasn't like that. People, and Vikings especially, they were running, as in when they were battling and, they were fighting people, they were running while with the arrows, which I think it's kind of, oh my god, that seems strange to me. And even I think maybe with horses, but I don't think they used horses. So that would be quite a feat. I don't know how they did it. They just, I'm pointing my arrow. I have to run. I think would make it harder because, and that's why I thought, you have to be stationary because you have to point your target. And yes, like if my target is already moving, so it's gonna make it harder if I'm moving as well. That's what I thought. Yeah, you're gonna have to be stationary. It's gonna be easier. But again, if they're apparently that's how they did it, and it must have worked for them. Wow, what a feat. They must have been incredible, because yes, how are you running around? You have to be aware of the terrain. Maybe there's tree stumps and logs on the ground, and maybe you're kind of, I tripped. How am I gonna be seeing the ground that I'm running? I also have to be, where's my target? I don't know, it seems like so many things to worry about, that it's a miracle that they ever got it done, but they did, and it worked. So yeah, Vikings, incredible culture. It was, can I call them a culture? Yeah, incredible fighting culture, and yes, they were incredible. As in, I don't think you can replicate one of these. Maybe you can, I don't know, but just the amount of, I think, effort and skill that it took for them to become those great fighters. Again, I don't know if you could replicate these days, but they were incredible. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.